So, round 2 of Diablos begins with chapter 14 of Fairy Tale being the last chapter that we're going to be receiving before the Christmas time has begun. So, here's hoping that this chapter gives us a little bit into the festive zone. No, it doesn't. Although we do get one cute little cover page and all that with like Lucy and Natsu, all of them like having like this little sleigh ride, which was cute for the most part. I thoroughly enjoyed it as we begin like the next part of a little stage of our journey with these characters, and again going more towards like everything that we're going on with the chapter, where it seems to be, at least like with what I've been noticing a lot with this Diablos fight, is that it's skipping around some of like the long parts of like the chapter itself as we keep bouncing back and forth between like the two parts of like the entire journey of like this chapter. So there's a few things to dive into this chapter as we're going to be talking about it, and we're going to be talking about the Kyria stuff as well, which we finally understand exactly how her magic works, or what how it really works around Urza as well, and also as well Natsu and Wendy's like fight that they're having right now. And I think as well the fact that we're seeing a little bit stuff of like Toka snapping a little bit and kind of going off against Jalal, so we'll be talking about that. So we find out immediately that like what exactly that Kyria's whole ability is like, or at least with how the ability works itself, and it's like, wait, she's like immediately like waking up saying like, what the hell just happened, and notice the leash going on, and it's like, wait, Urza isn't here, did she bail on me? And it's just like, I am not gonna hide from you, woman, all that. It's like, I will definitely return for all the humiliation. It's just like pulling out a sword, and he's like, wait, so the spell's been removed? And she was like, magics that use the eyes are half of it, which again, a silly little thing. So apparently each eye has an equal amount of a timer on them, so instead of being challenged by one, because again it comes back to Urza or Ozzy having like an artificial eye like on there, and it's like, oh, and it's just like, isn't it too soft of you to waste your chance to kill me like while I was asleep and all that? But it's just like, and she was like smirking, he's like, oh, sleeping opponent? That wouldn't be good enough for me. I want a real challenge. Like, so again, they try and justify a reason for it instead of like it just wore off, or like we finally understand. But we now know that Kyria has some sort of eye magic, and apparently what they discussed now, knowing the weakness of these kind of like these sort of illusion magics and everything, where it's like seemingly whether or not this is part of her Dragon Slayer ability, or whether or not we're going to really get into in-depth with it. I don't think that we are. For the most chance, like it's seemingly like an ability that she had and she could possibly use again. We'll have to actually see, but it seems like now that she's at least aware of it can be happening and all that, and like being taken away her abilities, we can see what's going to be going on. Turning off to like Natsu and like Wendy going off against like the leader, like he was like, oh, screw it then, I'm going to turn into an ass dragon. And this, like, if anything, was my biggest issue with this chapter, was mainly, I think, the art quality in this one. I think the art quality in this one looked really rough in a lot of areas. Like, I think, like, for the most part, the Urza panels were completely fine for the most part, and I think, like, this is the one criticism I've noticed as well with 100 Year Quest, where it does look wonky a lot of time. Like, I feel like Natsu, like, everything to do with, like, the Natsu, Wendy, and all of them, with the exception, I think, of, like, one where she went into, like, her Dragon Slayer mode, which it looked, like, all those panels looked kind of fine. I think there was a lot of panel, like, you can even tell where it's like, I think, like, Natsu looks slightly weirdly off-model, like, saying things, you know how you, like, see characters in anime and they look slightly off-model, but, like, in the panel, and it, like, you see, like, how their body, like, figures just looks completely different and how it's not being, like, interpreted. I think there was a lot of issues, and I think, like, this is stuff that can obviously be cleaned up, and I think, like, even considering as well with the author as well, like, this is still a very lengthy chapter, so it feels like it was being more rushed the time for some of these panels. But I think as well, the leader of Diablos, I think like every single panel that he looked in, I know it's probably a bit of his design as well, but I think he looked fucking awful in a lot of these parts where he tried to look really intimidating, saying, I'm gonna turn him into ash. He just looked really goofy with like just how he was drawn and everything, and I was like, okay. On then it's like, as immediately as like Natsu and like tries to fire back off there again with like a fire dragon roar, and he's like, my magic turns even your fire to ash, and it's just like, even still though, it like burns a little bit on there, and it's just like, and like even as well with like Natsu, like, this is what the hell, what are we gonna do about that? And like even like Wendy's like, maybe like I should be able to go against him because mine is a little bit like to go against them, which we find out that Wendy, using her ability to gather up the ash again, gives Natsu a shot to even actually punch this guy in, and it's like, oh, as like Mad Mole like actually goes in and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna eat them now because now they've actually kind of triggered me a little bit. So Natsu, Wendy, and Mad Mole and this guy are going to be all like going off against each other, like so, and that's pretty much the ending of their part of the chapter, apart from like the stuff with Kiria and Urza, which mentions something quite interesting as they're like fighting off against each other and all that, saying like, I liked you a little bit at being, but you were good. And it's like, when are you gonna punish me on there? And it's like, where should I cut next? Your shyness, like maybe like anything about that? And like, what about I cut the feelings towards the person you like? And it's like immediately Urza go, no, anything but that. And it was like, oh, and she's like making fun of her, saying, oh, it's cute when you blush and everything. And it's like, I have to be fully focused there, like more of the like someone I like is not like you or anything, Jalal. And you see Jalal just there waiting on it, so it's like, yeah, just immediately, like, even if it was like you were in denial at some point, like somehow throughout all the chapters of Fairy Tail, it was like, yes, she's fully in love with Jalal. Like, it is completely apparent at this point. Like, there's no point in hiding it, or like, if anything, I think this is the one thing that 100 Year Quest has kind of done alright, where it's been like showcasing a lot more of this romance stuff, and it's like, hey, maybe some of these characters should actually get together, kind of like what the main series was really hinting towards, but no, not anything at all like we got from there, which was kind of a little bit annoying, apart from, I think, Levy and Gargiel were one of the only few that were really kind of hooked up at the end. And now we go back to the Magnolia stuff with Toka, and it was just like her kind of like thanking like Laxus about the whole thing's like stopping like Gargiel and, you know, everything, all the whole his investigation, same thing as well with Jalal, and it was just like, you know, what about that? And it's just like, and immediately like you see like Laxus like is talking to him and all that, saying like, oh wait, what happened to Toka? And it's like she's kind of a bit nervous about talking about it, and you even see Gargiel catch like this really evil grimace from this like immediately and all that, and it's just like, and she's immediately going, there's quite a bit of rain out here and all that, and it's just like, immediately and all that, mentioning all that, I heard that there was a Jinx Rain girl around here, like kind of making fun of Juvia a little bit, and it's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's in the guild, and immediately and all that, like she even mentions as well, saying like, you know, oh, we don't worry about Juvia no more and all that. She's like, she was one of them and all that, but she's joined us, and it was like, hey, I like that. It still reminds me of it some still, and even Last is like, hey, drop it, Toka, like that. It's like, I said I'm going to protect you as a member of guild, but you have some stuff to say and all that, and it's like, even like, I'm glad this makes Laxus a little bit less stupid from how he was from like the previous chapter, where he's like, no, I'm just going to Mamoru this girl. It's like, look, I get it, everyone has secrets and all that, but you need to kind of come clean with us a little bit. It's like, if you're gonna, like, if you got secrets and all that, you kind of are gonna have to eventually talk about them, like, at some point. And it was just like, immediately where it's like, alright then, at least we're kind of like addressing some of this stuff. Like, I guess I appreciate that being kind of a little bit out of the open with like with how Laxus was kind of describing it. And it's just like, you don't want to say it, but if you hide something that could be dangerous to the guild, well, we couldn't stay as family for quite longer. We just need to do that. And it's just like, and Toka kind of getting a little bit bummed out, and it's like kind of heading back, and it was like immediately going to Jalal, which was interesting. It's like, why are you here, Toka? And she's like, look, you know about me, right? And it's and Jalal's like, yeah, I know enough about you. And it's like, in case I'm gonna be short and blunt with you. And she like has this evil looking face on it. It's like, you're in my goddamn way. And I was like, okay, all right. So, and again, I'm slightly more interested about the Toga stuff now, like, because they've been kind of hiding it a lot, where it's like kind of talking about, I mean, again, she's the white magician. They're kind of building her up to be like the polar opposite of like Jalal, like from what we've seen of Xerath, like with like what Jalal's dealing with. It's like, I want to see what's exactly going to be going down with this stuff. But overall, I am very curious to see where this chat's going to be going, but I want to see what you guys think in the comments down below. But that is all from me. Thanks always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.